We've all been there, right? You're stuck in a sea of red taillights, just inching forward as 3 lanes of traffic try to squeeze into 2. It feels inevitable, like a law of physics. But what if I told you the solution to these soul-crushing traffic jams isn't more asphalt, but a really clever bit of software that's probably already hiding in your car? Let's get into it. So here's our roadmap for today. First, we're going to dig into why these merge points are so bad. Then, we'll uncover this sort of hidden tool that a lot of modern cars have. From there, we'll look at a couple of brilliant strategies for using that tool, check out the jaw-dropping results from the simulations, and then finally, we'll bring it all back to what we could actually do on our roads, maybe even today. I mean, it's the question every single driver has screamed into their steering wheel at some point. You see that lane end sign, and you just know everything is about to stop. But the reason why isn't just about the sheer number of cars. It's about how we all behave when we get squeezed together. Okay, let's take a look at what the data is really telling us here. This isn't just a photo of traffic, it's a density heat map. The actual merge is way up at the top. But see that big, angry red blob? That's the traffic jam. It's the solid wall of cars forming way before the actual lane closure. So the problem isn't just at the bottleneck, it basically poisons the whole highway for miles behind it. The real problem here has a technical name, and honestly, it reveals this really frustrating paradox about how our highways work, or don't work. Yeah, it's called capacity drop, and it is the heart of the whole issue. You'd think a 2-lane road could handle, a 2-lane amount of traffic, right? Well, you'd be wrong. Once congestion actually sets in at a merge point, the road's ability to move cars decreases. The jam itself makes the road less efficient than when it was flowing freely. It's kind of crazy. So, how do we fight this bizarre paradox? Well, the answer, incredibly, might already be sitting in your garage. It's a piece of tech that we usually just think of as a convenience feature, but it turns out it could be an unbelievably powerful traffic management tool. Yup, adaptive cruise control. You know, that system that automatically keeps a set distance from the car in front of you. Researchers realize that the secret to controlling traffic on a massive scale might be hiding inside this very personal, individual car feature. More specifically, the solution is in the gap setting. Most ACC systems let you pick how much space you want to leave. You can have a big personal space bubble or a tiny little one. And it turns out that this one choice, when you multiply it across thousands of cars, has a massive impact. And here's the proof. Just look at this chart. It shows the capacity of a highway if every single car had ACC. If everyone picks the shortest gap setting, the tightest little bubble, the road can handle almost 32% more cars. But if everyone picks the longest, most cautious setting, road capacity just collapses, dropping by 46%. So it's pretty clear, controlling this one setting is the key. Okay, so we've got our tool, the gap setting. How do we actually use it? Well, the first strategy is a pretty elegant, large-scale approach that tries to stop that capacity drop from ever even starting. It's called inflow control, and the best way to think about it is like a smart thermostat for the highway. It senses the temperature, in this case the traffic density, right at the bottleneck, and it adjusts the heating, the flow of cars heading towards it, to keep things at the perfect level. So here's how it works. A central system sets up these control zones miles before the merge. As cars enter section 1, the system tells a certain number of them to use a short gap setting and others to use a long one. By constantly tweaking this mix, it makes sure the traffic that finally arrives in section 2, right at the bottleneck, is at the absolute perfect density for maximum flow. No jam, no capacity drop. Now, that inflow control is a huge step forward. It smooths everything out from a bird's eye view. But we can get even smarter. We can zoom in and solve the microscopic chaos of the merge itself, car by car. Right, so what happens when 2 cars actually have to zipper together? Inflow control keeps the road from getting totally overloaded, but it can't choreograph that final, tricky little dance. For that, we need an upgrade. And this is the real breakthrough. On the left, that's your normal ACC. The car only cares about the vehicle right in front of it. But on the right, that's the proposed new gap setting. With this new system, the car suddenly becomes aware of vehicles in the next lane over, the one that's closing, and it can subtly slow itself down to create the perfect space for that car to just slide in. It's not just following anymore, it's cooperating. So now we've got 2 strategies, the thermostat-like inflow control and this super cooperative combined control.
The researchers built a really detailed simulation to see how they'd stack up. And you're going to want to see this because the results, they're pretty astonishing.
All right, so here's a peek at the simulation running with just the simpler inflow control. Now, it's way better than no control at all, but look closely. See that one red car coming from the closing lane? It still hesitates. It has to come to a complete stop, just for a moment, and that single stop sends a shock wave rippling back through the entire line. Now, look at the exact same scenario, but with the advanced combined control. It's beautiful. It's like a ballet. The cars in the main lane create these perfect pockets, and the cars from the closing lane just glide into them. No stops, no slowdowns, just a completely seamless, efficient, and frankly, much safer zipper merge. And the numbers are just nuts. In the simulation, with the absolute heaviest traffic, this advanced system cut the average travel time through the area by, get this, over 60%. That's a game-changing improvement. And the safety benefits are just as stunning. Under moderate traffic, the number of dangerous conflicts in full-on vehicle stops was reduced to 0, a 100% elimination of one of the most stressful and accident-prone parts of driving. Okay, this all sounds absolutely fantastic in a perfect computer simulation, where every car is an obedient, connected, automated vehicle. But what about, the messy real world? This is the big question, right? We are decades away from a future where every single car on the road can be controlled by some central system. So is this all just a fun little thought experiment? Actually, not at all. We could actually start rolling out the simpler inflow control strategy today using the tech we already have. Just imagine a digital highway sign before a bottleneck that says something like, ACC users set gap to 1. By just telling drivers to manually change their car's personal space bubble, we can start to manage that traffic flow. The research projects that in a 2034 scenario, with about half the cars having ACC, this simple instruction could slash travel times by up to a third. And this isn't just a theory. The researchers applied this exact strategy to a digital model of a real, chronically jammed-up stretch of the Gyeongbu Expressway in South Korea. The result? Even with a messy mix of smart cars, old cars, trucks, and buses, the system still cut the peak commute time by almost 10%. That gave drivers an average of 9 minutes of their life back on every single trip. When you see all this, you realize we don't need to wait for flying cars to solve our traffic problems. The tools are literally being built into the cars we buy today. And by just thinking a little differently about how they can all work together, we might find that the end of the traffic jam isn't some massive construction project, but something much, much simpler. Maybe it's just a software update away. Thanks for joining me.